Defense is often one of the most overlooked thing in chess, and it's one of the most important aspects of chess. It's also the hardest, arguably, to work on, and it was for me until I really saw what defense truly was in chess. And defense in chess is just the other side of attack. So basically, if you put yourself in your opponent's shoes and say, how would I attack in this position, and really try to do that, you'll all of a sudden find the defensive resources in your position. Now, in this game, this is very common, especially in the French defense, which this game transposes into. White tends to have a strong attack, and black has to parry their attack and ride that wave, so to speak, until they can start countering and formulating attack on themselves. So here I'm playing against the 1800 player from Ecuador, good player. And right now we're just developing. I play h5, which is a little silly, but I was trying to mix it up a little bit, but it got me in trouble. And my opponent just is playing very good chess here, developing all his pieces. Every piece is pretty much moved except for this, but and the queen. But everything's really together here. Good pawn center, spatial advantage. So I castle here. My opponent plays h3. I go for that pawn break on f6. I'm going for this pawn break because I can't let my opponent just chill here with these pawns. He's taking up too much space, so I want to challenge that. So my opponent goes ahead and takes. I take back, and now he plays knight h2. So knight h2 is actually a pretty strong move. It's taking advantage of this really poor move I played. So now the pawn is just attacked, and there's no way to defend it really, especially that there's two pieces on it. So here I just played h4. So I pushed it up the board, and not only is it not being attacked, but it's also being defended by two pieces now. So there you go. All right, so my opponent correctly just switches gears and puts his bishop on this diagonal where he's hitting another loose piece. Now, again, this piece is only loose because this pawn should be back here. It should not be all the way up there. So this is not aggressive, this pawn, by any means, even though it might look like it. It's just wandered off. It lost its way in life. It should be back home where it belongs, protecting the king, giving the king a nice fortress. However, my knight now is suffering because of that, so my knight has to move. It's an unnecessary move that wouldn't have to be made if my pawn was just back on h7. I could make a new move. Okay, so now we have queen h5. And a lot of you are probably saying that you would not be able to defend this position or defend it correctly, and I don't blame you because it's not easy, right? So defending in chess is not fun, and it's very difficult. So when we're learning tactics, we usually learn, it's always from an attacking perspective. But really, well, this is from books and YouTube and all this, but really, tactics are not, they're not just offense. It's not just attacking. You're using tactics when you defend. If you think about it, it's just looking at it through the other side of the glass, so to speak, right? So here I played knight f5. Now, why do I play knight f5? Well, because, my opponent wants to checkmate me, right? If I play something random, we don't have queen h7. We actually have bishop h7. This stops my king from escaping, and now we have bishop g6 and checkmate. This is a common mating pattern. This is why it's useful to know your mating patterns. So since I know my mating patterns, I know what he wants to do, and I have to find a move to stop it. I play knight f5. So knight f5 stops it. He's also not winning a pawn here because my bishop is actually protecting. So my opponent brings his knight into the game. And here again, I just move my queen over. Now, again, I can't go for the bishop pair or try to get rid of pieces. You might hear people say get rid of pieces when you're defending. Yes, that's true. However, again, that unleashes the mating attack I just talked about. So we would get checkmated. We would lose the game. We'd be pretty upset, right? So here I just keep everything where it is. Again, my bishop is defended by the rook, also the queen and the pawn, but the rook is really important here. So I just go for a queen trade. And not only that, but my opponent cannot avoid the queen trade. And when you're attacking, you want to keep all your pieces on the board as much as you can, especially the queens, because once the queens come off the board, chess isn't really much of an attacking game at that point. It could be, of course, but usually it's not. The game becomes much more slower, and we start to gradually go into the end game. So basically by queen a8, I'm just slowing down. I'm stopping white's attack. It's kind of like when a boxer kind of goes and clinches with another boxer because the guy's too fast for him, or he feels like the match is slipping away from him. It's similar to that. So my opponent throws an in-between move here, and I take, and you might be saying, well, he can throw an in-between move here because this is protecting the pawn, and then after I take, he takes, but it doesn't work because he just loses the queen. So here, this is a way out for his queen. If he wants to, keep his queen in the game, he can, but here he just, he did actually play queen e2. So actually, this is a pretty clever move because there's no way to stop the queen trade except for this forcing move. The problem is actually brings my rook into the game, but now he has a way to get out to avoid the queen trade, which is what he did. Again, the problem is it brings my rook into the game, and I start to, since I defended, I start to counterattack and formulate my own attack. So now I just simply take the bishop because I win the bishop pair. Well, I don't have the bishop pair myself, but I got rid of the bishop pair from my opponent, so that slows down everything for him. And now I just develop my queen, protect my rook again, and get ready to bring my second rook double up on the f-file. My opponent makes a very slow move. I was surprised that they did this in this position. Rook f6 was best, and then following up with rook f1. And then I would play something like this. And actually here, queen h5 is very dangerous, so I'd have to find a different move there. But my opponent played knight d1, a very slow move in a position that's very, very fast. So I thought that was odd. And here I just doubled my rooks. My opponent came back here with the knight. And now I can finally go for a central pawn push. Now I'm trying to counter, do my own ideas, get space in the center, and start to eventually go for my own attack now that I parried white's attack. So my opponent doesn't want to take. He didn't want to take because knight e5 comes in here, threatens the bishop. He wants to preserve the bishop. But then after that, something like bishop e5 hits the queen again. And eventually, he's just going to run out of moves here. Rook takes, queen takes, and I guess knight takes d3 here. And after this take, queen e3, finally winning the bishop. So there's a lot of calculation there. But again, if you see that he's holding on to his position just by a thread, you'll be able to find the move that just pushes him over the edge, so to speak. Okay, so anyway, he doesn't take there, so instead he played e4. The problem with e4 is he played it because he's good, so he saw a lot of what was going on, but he kind of goofed here, and when I say kind of, he did goof here because now he gives up the pawn, so now I'm ready to finally, at the right time, when my opponent slips, I go on the attack. I go on the, now I'm the aggressor. Now I win a pawn, I'm attacking his queen. Again, I'm only allowed to do that because I defended first, so you have to defend. And now my opponent makes a wrong move here, and I'm able to get to a forking square for my knight. I win the exchange, and now I just trade down some material. I bring my bishop into a good square. My opponent throws in a check, and now goes for this move. However, it's wrong because I just win a knight here, and my opponent came here, but I just moved back here, and my opponent resigns. Now, you might be saying, well, he can come here and threaten checkmate. Again, I could play this, but which would stop it and unleash a defense over here. But even better is just to keep things as far away from your king as possible. Keep the game as far away from your king as you can, right? So this brings the battle outside your king, well away from him. And now he would have to move back. I'm just up a whole rook here, not to mention a pass. Oh, I can't do that. I'll get checkmated. But at the right time, if I trade the bishops, I have a passed pawn. Everything's good. This should be a clear win. Anyway, hopefully you liked that video. If you did, check out this one. Catch you guys next time. Go play some chess.